You feed them. You walk them. You literally bought them a bed that costs more than yours. And yet, something feels off. Maybe your dog is always just slightly across the room. Maybe they never come to you first. You've told yourself it's just their personality. But what if it's not? What if your dog has been sending you signals this whole time, and you've been misreading every single one? Stay with me, because sign number 5 will make you look at your dog completely differently. And by the time we reach the final sign, you'll have total clarity on exactly where you stand. Sign 10. They never check on you. Here's something most dog owners never think about. Dogs who feel bonded to their person will check in, constantly. You walk into another room, they follow. You sit down, they glance over. This behavior is called referencing, and it's how dogs say, "I'm aware of you. You matter to me." Now think about your dog. When you move through the house, do they track you? Or do they stay exactly where they are, completely unbothered? A dog that never checks on you isn't being independent. They're being indifferent. And indifference, in the dog world, is louder than a growl. But here's the thing. There's usually a reason. And it often starts with something that happened much earlier. Something like sign 9. Sign 9. They never greet you at the door. The door greeting is one of the oldest rituals in the human-dog relationship. Even after 5 minutes away, a truly bonded dog will meet you like you've returned from war. Tail going, body wiggling, maybe a little whining, pure, unfiltered joy. If your dog stays on the couch when you walk in, that's information. Not every dog is explosive about it, but even a calm, content dog will orient toward you. They'll lift their head, walk over slowly, make contact. A dog who doesn't even acknowledge your return isn't relaxed. They're emotionally checked out. And the painful part? Most people assume it means their dog is calm-natured. It doesn't. It means you're not their safe place yet. Which brings us to the question of why. And that answer is buried in sign 8. Sign 8. They eat and immediately disappear. Watch what your dog does right after eating. A dog who feels secure and connected will finish their meal and come find their person. Why? Because food satisfies the physical need, but then they come back for the emotional one. If your dog finishes eating and immediately goes somewhere alone, under the bed, to another room, into their crate without being asked, they're not relaxed. They're retreating. In the wild, a dog that eats alone is a dog that doesn't feel safe enough to be vulnerable. Your home shouldn't feel like that. And if it does, the cues didn't start at the food bowl. They started the moment you two first tried to connect, which is exactly what sign 7 is about. Sign 7. They flinch before you touch them. Not a dramatic flinch, not a yelp, just a subtle shift, a micro movement away. Maybe their weight transfers backward when your hand approaches. Maybe their ears go slightly flat before you even make contact. Most owners miss this entirely because it happens in a fraction of a second. But animal behaviorists say this is one of the most honest signals a dog gives. It means your touch hasn't been established as safe in their nervous system yet. Touch should be something your dog leans into, not something they brace for. And if they're bracing, the relationship has a gap in it. A gap that usually shows up in other places too, like the thing in sign 6 that most people write off as stubbornness. Sign 6. They obey strangers faster than they obey you. This one stings. You spend months trying to teach your dog to sit, stay, come, and they're slow, distracted, half-committed. Then a friend visits, gives the same command once with calm confidence, and your dog sits immediately. That's not about the command. That's about trust and perceived leadership. Dogs don't follow commands from a place of obedience. They follow from a place of relationship. When a dog listens better to a stranger, it often means they're reading that stranger as more calm, more consistent, more trustworthy in that moment than you. That's not a permanent verdict, but it is a real one. And it gets even more telling when you combine it with what's happening in sign 5, the one I told you to watch for at the beginning. Sign 5. They never bring you anything. Dogs who love their person become gift givers. A sock, a squeaky toy, a leaf they found outside. It doesn't matter what it is. The act of bringing it to you specifically is the whole point. This behavior comes from the same instinct that makes wolves bring food back to pack members they trust. Your dog is saying, I thought of you. This is mine, and I want you to have it. If your dog has never once brought you something, not a toy, not a bone, nothing, they haven't yet built that emotional bridge. The impulse to share only comes when a dog feels genuinely close to someone, and sharing leads to something even deeper, how they sleep. Because sign 4 reveals the truth that happens when every guard is down. Sign 4. They sleep facing away from you, or leave the room entirely. Where and how a dog sleeps near you says everything. A dog that sleeps with their body oriented toward you, or touching you, is expressing trust at its deepest level. Sleep is when animals are most vulnerable. Choosing to be vulnerable near you is the highest compliment a dog can give. If your dog sleeps in the same room, but always faces the wall, the door, away from you, that's not random. They're keeping one eye on the exit, even in rest. And if they leave the room entirely when you lie down, they're not seeking quiet. They're seeking distance. The hard part is that this behavior doesn't come from nowhere. It builds, slowly, sign by sign. And sign 3 is often where it first becomes visible in daylight. Sign 3. Their tail wags, but their body doesn't. Everyone knows tail wagging means happy. But that's only half the truth. A full body wag, where the dog's hips and shoulders move with the tail, is genuine excitement and affection. But a tail that wags while the body stays stiff and still? That's a dog doing the social minimum. It's a polite signal that means, I acknowledge you. That's it. Watch your dog next time you come home or call their name. Does the whole body move, or just the tail? The difference between those two things is the difference between love and tolerance. And tolerance often shows its sharpest edge in sign 2, a moment most people completely misread. Sign 2. They let you pet them, but never ask for it. There's a difference between a dog that tolerates being petted and a dog that initiates it. If your dog only ever receives affection, sitting still while you pet them, neither pulling away nor engaging, that's not comfort. That's compliance. A dog who loves you asks for touch. They nudge your hand with their nose. They press their head into your lap. They position themselves so that you have to reach over and pet them. They engineer physical closeness. If your dog has never once nudged you for attention, never pressed into you, never made themselves impossible to ignore, you are not their emotional anchor yet. You're just someone they live with. That realization lands hard. But it's not the hardest one. Sign 1 is. Sign 1. They're calmer when you leave than when you're there. Most people fear their dog has separation anxiety. But there's a quieter, more sobering opposite. A dog who is more at ease when you're gone. You can see this if you have a camera at home. Some dogs, when left alone, settle quickly. They nap. They breathe easy. But the moment their owner returns, they become watchful, guarded, or mildly tense. If your dog is more relaxed without you in the room, your presence isn't a comfort to them. It's a variable they haven't learned to predict yet. They don't know what version of you is walking through the door. And until they do, until you become safe and consistent, they can't fully exhale around you. Here's what I want you to hold on to after watching this. None of these signs mean your dog doesn't want to love you. Dogs are wired to bond. They want a person. But bonding takes time, patience, and, most importantly, consistency. If you recognized your dog in 2 or 3 of these signs, pay closer attention. If you recognize them in 5 or more, it's time to slow down and rebuild, not with treats and commands, but with presence. Because the greatest thing about dogs, they're always willing to try again. The question is, are you?